We've talked quite a bit about the cast up until this point, but there's so much more that happens behind the scenes. Now it's time to take a deep dive into the music of Les Miserables with the Pit Orchestra.
1, 2, 3, 4. One and two. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Up until this point, the Pit Orchestra for musicals has always been kind of handled by the band program. This is the first year we've also brought string players into the mix as well. So yeah, this is kind of new for Glen Oak High School to have the full orchestra down there in the pit. This show, Les Mis, is scored in a very kind of grandiose fashion. It's a show about like an insurrection of the people. So there's these big musical numbers, with a huge chorus on stage, so they want the full orchestra to kind of accompany that drama. So yeah, this is, I think, more than necessary to have the full orchestra for this show. It's definitely needed.
The classical and dramatic sounds of Les Mis represent a thematic departure from last year's musical Hairspray, and the scope of the performance will certainly be one of the greatest challenges to this year's Pit Orchestra.
This whole show is just singing and acting, and there's hardly any dialogue, so everything musically and with the orchestra is non-stop, and it's going and it's going, and there's so much music to prepare, and there's so much different, for the drum set example. Normally in a Broadway show, you got regular rock beats you're laying down and stuff like that, but for this show they've basically taken a classical show and written it for drum set, and it's really difficult because, like I said, you're not just playing beats, you're actually playing melodically on the drums, and it's really, really difficult at times because you're not used to, seeing that in a drum set part, but still, there's just so much music that has to be, rehearsed and prepared, and honestly, I just lost my thought, and
Well, as a cast member who's also rehearsing in the pit, I think it's interesting because you get to hear what's going on underneath you while you're singing. So I think it'll be easier because then when we're running through rehearsals on stage, I'll remember, oh yeah, the violins have this part here and the trumpet has this here. So I think it's a really interesting experience because you get to hear both sides of the music.
They've responded thus far, from me working with them in class and also after school at some of our rehearsals like you saw on Tuesday. They've responded very, very well. They're very positive. There's not any sort of negativity. I mean, this is difficult music.
And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1.
Conducting the pit, much like everything else in this musical, is a process, one that has very much been put into motion. Over the next 4 weeks, the music will just get better and better until everyone is ready to join the cast at Abbey Fold Stage. Anything to add, Mr. Nas?
Come see Les Mis. It's going to be an amazing, amazing show.